Hello, and welcome to the fourth video in our training tutorial series on creating digital portfolio basics using Google Slides. In the last three videos, you learned what color and typeface or font palettes are and why they are important. You also learned how to create a color palette from an image that you found on Google. And finally, you also learned how to create a typeface or font palette using the website fontpairs.co to help you choose a pairing of fonts that work well together. In this video, we will finally learn how to combine your color and font palettes to create text boxes and styles that you can use over and over for whatever project you are working on. Once you've mastered how to combine your fonts and colors together, you will be ready to start building your digital portfolio. I hope you're ready, so let's jump right in. By this point in your tutorial series, you should have already created three different things. The first thing was, if you remember, we went to Google, we found an image we really liked the colors of. We then took that image and opened up the website coolors.co and created a color palette from the image. And then finally, we used fontpairs.co to pick two fonts that we really liked the combination of, and we created a typeface palette or a font palette. Now, for my sake, I went in and chose Flamenco Bold for headings, ASAP Normal for body, and if you remember, the subheading font should be one of your two selected fonts with something that's different. In this case, I chose ASAP for the subheading font, and I changed it by making the size bigger and by making it italics. Now that we have this, I'd like for us to go ahead and get started. The first thing I want you to do is, let's go ahead and open up a new tab by clicking the new tab button up here or clicking on Command or Control T. Once you have a new tab open, I'd like for you to go to the following website, lipsum.com. Lipsum.com is a website that allows us to find sample text that we can use so we can see what they look like with our newly selected fonts. So what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and click on Generate Lorem Ipsum. And once you generate the Lorem Ipsum text, I want you to go ahead and select the first three sentences in this paragraph, okay? Once you have gone in and selected these sentences, I want you to go ahead and copy, go back to your slideshow, and right underneath the body, I want you to right-click, and instead of pasting it, we're going to do something different this time. We're going to paste it without formatting. Now, what that means is it is going to take the text from here and take away whatever formatting this website used. In other words, whatever font they used or whatever color they used, and it's going to instead apply the formatting of your body font. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and paste without formatting. And if you notice, that text now has the same font and size as your body font, which is what you want, okay? If for some reason you went in and you just copied the text without the formatting, you're going to have to go in and highlight the text, select your font, and change the size, and also, for some reason, it is going to bring in the background color of this website into the paste. So what we need to do is go ahead and click text color. You're going to click highlight and make sure that it is transparent. Okay? So in order to avoid all of that extra work, what I'm going to have you do is, remember, just right click and paste without formatting so you can be done quicker. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and combine our colors here, okay? Now I want you to know the reason we're putting extra text here is because we want to see what text looks like when we apply colors to it. And one small line of text is not enough to really see what that font will look like in its new color. So with that said, let's go ahead and go back to our color palette. And if you remember, in our very first video, I showed you how to link your palette so that you can always come back to it, right? So you're going to click on your image or on your palette, and we're going to click on the link, and that's going to open up that palette that we created in our first video. And the reason you're going to need this is because, yes, this is a dark blue and a red and a yellow and a purple and a blue. But what happens here is that what I really need are these codes down here. These are hex codes that I'm going to use to help me put together my text boxes. So I want you to choose one of your colors in your palette. Let's pick your darkest color. Whatever color you have that is the darkest, I want you to go in and click on the code. So you're going to click, you're going to copy, you're going to come back over to your slide, and let's head over to our font face palette, right? I want this color to be the background. So you're going to click inside of your text box, find the fill color tool or this little paint bucket tool. You're going to click on it, and instead of choosing a color that's already here, I want you to click custom. And you guessed it, in this little text box here, I want you to select everything except for the hashtag. It is important that you leave the hashtag. All right? And go ahead and paste your new font color. All right? Now that I've done that, I want you to go ahead and hit OK. And now your text box is going to take on the color of that font. If you notice now, I can't see my text because they are both very dark colors. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a heading font. And what I'm going to recommend is if you chose a really dark color for your background, I want you then to go ahead and choose your very lightest color for your heading. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to go with my yellow. And my yellow is FEAF30. So I'm going to click, I'm going to copy, then I'm going to go back to my slide and I'm going to find my heading. Here's my heading. And then I'm going to go to text color. That's this A underlined with a little color. And you are going to click, you're going to hit custom. And again, you guessed it, you're going to highlight everything except for the hashtag and you are going to paste it. Remember, when you paste it, it's going to give you the color that you selected. So go ahead and hit OK. And now, if this happened to you, this means that we actually changed the highlight of the text. We don't want that. So let's go back and we're going to undo what we just did. So we are going to click this little left arrow that undoes. It brings it back to its original. And let's do it again. So we're going to highlight. We are going to click the text color tool and make sure that instead of the highlight, we select the text option, okay? Remember, this one will highlight the text that you've selected. This one will change the text color. So now that we're under text, we're going to go to custom. We're going to paste our color one more time and we're going to hit OK. And now my heading has this orange color that is found in my palette. Okay? Now, you're going to find yourself moving back and forward a lot. So one of the things that I like to do is I set up my workspace, which I believe I showed you in one of our earlier videos. So what we're going to do is I know that I'm switching between my slideshow and my my color palette frequently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my color palette and then drag down. If you notice, this now separates my color palette from my other window, which has my lorem generator and my slideshow, right? So now that they're separated, I am going to resize these, okay? So I can work with them side by side. So I want you to move your mouse to the edge of your color palette window so that the mouse looks like this little double-sided arrow, and you are going to resize it, okay? Meaning you're going to bring the size in and just move it in so that way you can see your whole palette. You're going to do the same thing with this window, and if you guessed by this point, you're just going to resize it this way, right? So that way now I have my palette and my project both open at the same time. Now you can resize it however you want. I like working side by side. So now that I have a background color and I have a heading color, it is time for me to choose my body color. Let's go in and select your body text. And you have to decide here, what color are you going to use here, all right? Now, you are going to be playing around with a lot of different colors. So I suggest that you pick one of your palette colors for now. In this case, I'm going to try this mahogany color here. So I'm going to Click on the hex code, copy it, go back to my text box, change the font color. Remember, make sure text is selected. You're going to hit custom. You're going to select, delete, and paste. Hit OK. That'll change your body font. And remember, we still have a subheading here. Now, in case you did not know this, black and white are always a part of your palette. So if you are using a very dark background color, play around with seeing what happens if you choose white as one of your colors as well. In this case, I am going to use my orange for my heading, white for my subheading, and red for my body font. So, you've created your very first text box using your color palette and your font palette. So, I'm not sure if this is the combination I want to use. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this box and try a different combination. So let's practice. Now, in order to duplicate, you are going to hold on, if you're using a Windows computer, I want you to press and hold the control button on your keyboard. Or if you're using a Mac, you are going to press and hold the option button on your keyboard. Once that button is pressed, I want you to move your mouse over your text box until it changes into this four-way arrow. With the button, the controller option button pressed, I want you to click and drag. You can either drag to the left, to the right, or you can drag down. Okay? What this is going to do is that this will allow you to duplicate anything that you click and drag on. So, now that we have 4 text boxes, I want you to take some time and play around with the color combinations. I'm going to do the second one just to remind you and refresh the process for you. And then I want you to take time and create 4 text boxes with combinations that you like and that, remember, you want to make sure they are very easy to read. So let's go ahead and change the second one. So I use the dark blue for my background, and yellow for my headings, red for my body, and white for my font, for my subheading. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these same colors, except I'm going to change it around. Let's see what that looks like. So what if we did, this time, we change the heading into our background color. So let's see. As you work on your project, any color that you've added that is custom will be included in this small custom area, so you don't have to go in and put the code in again. So let's see. I want my heading now to be my background color. And if you notice, it's going to disappear because they're the same, right? So I want you to go in and let's change the background color by using the fill tool to the orange color, right? Then I'm going to go in and change the body font to the white color. Let's see what that looks like. And I'm going to use my subheading, and let's try that with red, the red that we used before. And here is another combination that may or may not work depending on the colors that you chose. Let's try one more for good practice. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with some of the other colors on my palette, okay? So this time, I'm going to try this purple color here. I haven't used it yet. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to, remember, copy the code. Then you're going to bring it over to your slideshow. And let's start with the background. Remember, if you haven't used the color yet, you have to hit Custom. Select the code that you want to get rid of. And go ahead and paste your new code. And hit OK. Make sure that the code that you pasted is the same as the code in your palette. Once you are there, go ahead and hit OK. And play around with the colors here. So let's say if I used purple, I want to see what this red will look like for headings. So remember, I've already used that red. All I have to do is highlight my heading, go back to text color, and find that red that I used, which is right here. Okay? Then I am going to, I like the way the subheading looks in white, so I'm going to leave it like that. And finally, I'm going to try the yellow color for my body text. I'm going to remember, click text color, find the yellow that I used, and click on it. And you'll see how that works, okay? And then we'll try one last one before I let you go and explore your text boxes, okay? Let's see, which colors have I not used? Let's try the red here. Let's try the red for the background. Remember, for background, you have to use the text fill color option, or background fill color. We're going to choose my red for background. I'm going to choose my, let's see, let's choose the dark blue for heading. I'm going to leave white for subheading. And then for my body, I'm going to change it to, let's try the purple and see how that looks. Okay? Now remember, not all colors will work well together, so you need to find a combination that works best for you. If for some reason your combinations aren't working, then all you have to do is go back, right? And try a different color palette. And remember, all you have to do is watch video 2 again on how to create a color palette and create a whole new palette using coolers, because you already know how to do that. Now, if you are not finding combinations that you like, what I recommend you do is you're going to take your second slide and again, holding the Control or Option button, we are going to click on slide 2 and drag down. Remember, that little shortcut is just going to duplicate what you already have. And then what I want you to do is just go in and play around until you find a combination of colors that you approve of, that your friends approve of, more importantly, that you are happy with and that people can read. Before you select your final combination of colors and fonts, make sure you run it by your teacher and that you hit present up here so that you can see what it looks like in full screen. Because sometimes small text does not look the same when you project it on a projector. So, with that said, and now that you've learned how to create and combine your text boxes and your colors and your fonts, you are ready to move on to the next part of this video, which is creating your digital portfolio.